This entire structure is about to collapse. Maria Lopez, an experienced welder, knows something is wrong with the tower. A deadly flaw that no one else sees. In a world of steel beams and stubborn bosses, proving her point could cost her everything. Hello, everyone! This is Tales Unveiled. Today, a new story. The skyscraper stood unfinished, its jagged top piercing the sky. Maria tied her ponytail, the wind fluttering her worn coveralls. Another day in paradise. Below the construction site, steel structures buzzed, shouted, and rang. Machinery worked tirelessly. She was used to the noise, used to being the only woman among a sea of helmets. It was the price to pay to do what she loved. Her cramped trailer was a refuge, with dirty tools and faded blueprints. She studied the latest data on the central support beams. Support beams are the heart of the entire structure. Something troubled her from within, a wrongness she couldn't quite pinpoint. Welding was in her blood. Her father, a man with calloused hands and quiet pride, taught her everything. He didn't live to see. The framed certificate on the trailer wall was his, not her graduate diploma. Instead of lecture halls, she faced a steel jungle and a constant chip on her shoulder. "Lopez!" the foreman barked, cutting through her thoughts. Buzz is his name, she thought, a man who seemed born squinting into the sun. "Welding inspection, Sector 5, and make it snappy. The suits are breathing down my neck," he ordered. Sector 5 was racing to meet an impossible deadline. The half-built skeleton of the structure made her stomach clench. Heights weren't her favorite, but fear came second to getting the job done right. Floor by floor, she checked the welds, her torchlight glinting off the pitted metal. Most welds were solid, some sloppy, the usual rushed job mess. Then she saw it. A hairline fracture in a central support weld. Not big, not obvious, but dangerous given the stress this building would bear. It was like a bomb waiting to go off. Cold dread settled heavier than her tool belt. She knew how this worked. She had to report it to the engineers. They would dismiss it as a woman not knowing her place. She found Harris, the junior engineer, mocking her notes. His patronizing tone ignited her fury faster than a welding arc. Time was running out. The crack was not shrinking. Returning to her trailer, surrounded by the smells of burnt metal and old coffee, she struggled with calculations. Numbers and memories of her father's lessons floated before her eyes. It was a crazy decision, but the only thing that could help. The sun was setting, painting the unfinished tower with a bloody red light, intensifying the feeling that something was wrong. Sleep became a battle she lost. Before dawn, the trailer shook from the arrival of the first cruiser. Today was not the time to be silent. It was time to be heard. Even if she had to fall under the weight of a mistake, she met Buzz's gaze, surrounded by blueprints, his face clenched like a fist when he saw her. "What now, Lopez? Another one of your bright ideas?" he asked. Maria did not look away, ready to defend her position. A thought arose behind her back that could stop the collapse of the entire cursed tower. He smirked, but a flicker of interest, mixed with doubt, appeared in his eyes. She shoved a crumpled sheet with calculations and a sketch at him. The metal table trembled with tension. The beams, the load distribution, everything was wrong, though only slightly. And the welded seams that cracked, which she discovered yesterday, were only the beginning. Buzz stared at the paper, then at her. Bosses didn't like being outdone, especially if it was done by a woman half his age. She almost heard the gears clicking in his head. Costs, delays, offices with their bosses who didn't care about the workers. And your solution is to reinforce the entire structure. You know that this is... He didn't finish, but they both understood. It was a death sentence for deadlines, bonuses, and reputations. Buzz crumpled the paper, the sound like a gunshot in sudden silence. But beneath his stern exterior, she noticed the same doubt she felt within herself. She had been fighting all night, and he growled, "You want me to ruin half my work on your orders?" She lowered her voice, sensing the men approaching. "I'm not a rookie, not to confuse a wrench with a hole in the ground. I don't want to make you look bad, but the beams need to be fixed. Otherwise, this place will become a grave." Something in her tone struck Buzz. He scratched his chin, the stubble scraping like sandpaper. "If you do this, you will fail. Your skin is on the line, Lopez." She nodded, knowing there was no other way. The next hour flew by in chaos. Buzz shouted orders, engineers bustled about, panic began to grip the team. Maria was pushed aside. The woman who had just saved their lives was ignored. She retreated to her trailer. Around her were ghosts of the best plans, now almost in dust. The evening light cast sharp shadows on Buzz's face when he found her. "The suits want your head," he said without mercy. But the structural engineers checked the calculations, and the relief crashed over her like a wave, leaving her weak in the knees. He kicked at a loose bolt, then met her gaze with grudging respect she never thought she'd earn. "Damn lucky for a lot of us. You ain't as green as you look." News spread like wildfire. The crew, first whispering and resentful, now looked at her differently, not as a woman, not just a good welder, but as someone who stopped them all from being buried in their work. The cocky engineer sidled up with mumbled apologies she barely heard. Buzz even grunted something passing for a thank you. The deadline got shredded. The suits in their shiny offices might curse her name. But down here, in the world of iron and sweat, she'd earned her place. It wasn't a promotion, not yet, but it was a start. The repairs stretched into weeks. Maria worked harder than she ever had, welding through double shifts, ignoring the ache in her bones. Her father would have been proud. Some nights, when the skeletal tower pierced the starry sky, she'd catch Buzz watching her, not with distrust anymore, but with grudging respect that spoke of earned trust and shared hardship. The last of the reinforcements settled in place, stronger than before. He entered her trailer and tossed a battered hard hat onto her workbench. "It ain't fancy," he said, "but it's yours." Foreman's position opened up. "Think you can handle it?" The trailer seemed to tilt under the weight of his words. Maria examined the hard hat in her calloused hands. She thought of her father, the quiet pride glowing in his eyes, his faith in her unmatched by anything on the site. "Don't know," she said finally, "but I reckon I owe it to him to try." Buzz grunted something like approval. The walk back to the tower was not for celebration, nor for giving up. The wind cut at her, a harsh reminder of her challenges. The construction site throbbed beneath her feet. The noise was now familiar, reminding her of risks and the work yet to be done. Months later, she stood on the finished tower. The city spread out before her like a broken toy. Foreman Lopez sounded okay, but it did not erase hard stares from some older men. She looked at Maria. It was something at least. But real change is a battle you fight every day, not a single decision. She gripped the railing, the metal cold against her hands. Had she made the world better, or just become a better paid part of the same broken system? One day, the girl downstairs will be where Maria is now. If you enjoyed this story, click the like button and subscribe to the channel for new tales. Tell us in the comments with one word what feelings this story evoked in you. While you're here, watch the video currently displayed on the screen. See you next time.